Hi, Christina here. I'll tell you a little about me. I was a dominatrix for years, and I learned a lot about reward, specifically the importance of reward when trying to change someone's behavior. If you don't know what a dominatrix does, it's about prolonging or denying a reward and using positive and negative reinforcement to achieve something. So, what are you trying to achieve in a session like this? Sometimes it's just fun. It's fun to play with power dynamics or play crazy mind games, but a lot of my serious clients were actually trying to push themselves. And a lot of what made any scene good or fun was when I pushed them. The process is rooted in behavior training and overcoming the self, overcoming limitations, that's what it's about. So I learned a lot about human psychology, how to push people to change and improve. And the most relevant thing that I learned was how to turn sexual arousal, frustration, and tension into change and how to use that to push a person towards change. So a dominatrix works with boundaries. There are soft boundaries where you normally have a little bit of resistance, and that's the spot that you want to push on when you're quitting porn. It's the part that's really charged, and there's a lot of material there. And this is where I'm going to come from when I explain to you right now how to push past your resistance to giving up porn for good. Because it's ultimately you and your own barriers, your own boundaries that are keeping you from the success that you want. So, first, you need to understand how porn works on the brain. I'll get to that in a second. First, I'm going to tell you the steps right now so that you can put it in your head and start getting to work immediately. The second is that you need to be focused on changing your behavior. You need attention. The parts of your brain associated with forming a new habit require consistent, stimulating input and includes a kind of metaphorical cold water therapy, sort of, meaning something that actually demands your attention, like new activities, new surroundings, a cold shower, skipping breakfast, or starting a journal. You need to pair a new state of attention so that your reactive, habit based part of your brain, that automatic part that takes over and makes you watch porn, that part gets pushed to the side and the more conscious part of your brain starts to wake up. Finally, you need accountability. This is a really important step, and I think the embarrassing nature of porn use actually makes it more effective. So, you need a buddy or a coach or a family member or a support group, and you need to be accountable to them for your behavior. So, first, let's get to work on how porn works in the brain. We'll do it really easy, really simplified, and in ways that you can actually use as a frame for how you're going to undo this damage. So, first of all, you have dopamine. Dopamine is something that people complain about a lot. They say, no, you can't dopamine fast. That's too simple. They say dopamine is only a small part of the chemical cocktail involved in feeling good and being motivated and all that. And it's true that dopamine doesn't work alone. But in the case of porn, it has a clear, proven, direct connection with the reward pathways of your brain. So you are reinforcing your behavior with dopamine, meaning you will do it more, meaning you will think about it less the more you do it, meaning it becomes basically written into you like a computer program. Is that oversimplified? Yes. But it's a really important part of the puzzle, and you're going to use dopamine in the same way that you got addicted to porn, or, get addicted to success, or creative projects, or a good lifestyle. But first, I wanted to explain how dopamine is limited, meaning you have a finite supply, meaning that you do something that's really rewarding, like you win an award. Hooray, first place, right? Good job. And then next time, you win first place and it's not going to feel as good. So sex feels really good, but you've been in a long-term relationship, so you know that some of that excitement sort of dies down. Except with porn, you have this thing called novelty. If you've ever been kind of grossed out by some extreme thing that you watched when you were really horny and you were like, oh, what's wrong with me? What did I get out of that? But then you do it again and again, and then you want something even freakier later on down the line, and it goes on until you almost run out of keywords. You die in an inflatable pump accident, or you find yourself in a sex offenders list. It happens. So anyway, remember when I said dopamine is finite? Well, novelty bypasses this. And when you add that spice of variety, which is incredibly low effort to access, right in your face, and add that, the dopamine surge is unlimited. They have tested this in sex and porn addiction studies, and they've also tested what happens when a person gets too much of these surges. They get depressed, they get anxious, and they simply do not enjoy or feel motivated by things like they did before. And that's not just sexual, that's all areas of their life. And why? It's because they used all their dopamine. So again, an oversimplification, but let's run with it because now you have a few more pieces of this puzzle. Regarding reinforcement with dopamine, so you do something new that feels really good. You are rewarded for it with brain chemicals. These chemicals actually do right in your mind to do this more or stop doing this. See, dopamine doesn't just get released to reinforce a good or pleasurable behavior, it gets released for aversion too. So knowing how it works, you can start fixing it. Now, I will give a few tips for how to apply this and getting to work on it. It's not an overnight thing. You are rewiring years of this reinforcement, but I can tell you it does not have to take years to undo. And it doesn't have to be horrible. It doesn't have to feel horrible because we are reinforced with pleasure. You can simply retrain your behavior with pleasure, reinforce it with arousal, which is very powerful, as you know, as a porn user. It gets you to do all sorts of things. Now, let's move on to the second part of porn addiction recovery. This is about actually delivering these changes, delivering this cycle of action and reinforcement. So, step two, you have to pay attention. Simple as that. Your brain doesn't kick into this change mindset, and it is a mindset, without something pulling it into an attention state. This is entirely up to you. You can switch up your diet, or if that's too much stress, you can switch up your room. You can keep your blinds open instead of closed as a reminder. You can start a journal. Whatever makes you aware of yourself and your state of mind, and what gets you into a self-observing and focused state. And finally, number three, accountability. This is your last step. You're going to have a bad time quitting porn if you don't have accountability. You need to find some friend who you're not too embarrassed to admit, that you had a bad day. Or you can go make a burner account, go on social media, participate in NoFap. Or I have a Facebook group. The link is below. It's called the Get Off Porn Community, and you can post completely anonymously. The group is private. Nobody will know you're in there. And my coaching program includes this as well. We have weekly check-ins, progress updates, and advice suggestions, and so on. So since you made it to the end, I am going to give you another tip. And this is related to what you just learned about dopamine. Remember what I said about how it's finite, how if you win a first place prize once, the second time won't feel as good? Well, there is a way around this to constantly get a supply of dopamine while you quit and while you stop appreciating how very important it is that you're doing this for yourself. It happens. So it's this, you take account of your small wins. It's so simple, so easy, and yet people don't do it. You're going to do it because you're not going to have an all or nothing mindset anymore. You're going to do it, and it's going to fill that same role of the surges of dopamine. It's the easiest thing ever, and it will replace, on a chemical basis, the novelty of porn. So you get to enjoy the novelty of success, the newness and feel good motivating factor of winning every day. You're going to take it back from porn, and instead you can apply it to a better life. So self-congratulate every day. Every time you resist, that is not a bad thing to have a craving. It is a good thing because you said no to it, and you're going to congratulate yourself, reward yourself, force yourself to have an excellent time. Better body, better sex life, whatever you decide is important, you are going to define your life on your terms, and you're going to take account of it. Every day, 1 minute a day. Do it in the shower, or do it in a journal. You can do it when you eat breakfast. It Doesn't matter, just commend yourself for doing such a great job. Write down what you did yesterday or today or lately that is better than it was before. And that is how you hack your brain and get your life back from porn. If you liked this, check out my course. It is intensive. This is only a tiny slice of what you get. I have worked with hundreds of men, and I understand not just how this works, but I understand how to work with this boundary, reward, and new behavior training system in the male mind. And it can be fun, it can be pleasant, it can be pleasurable, and you can feel good about yourself every step of the way and enjoy the process. Thanks for watching, and until next time.